A message sent to reviewers reveals that Lionsgate has banned critical social sentiment for their upcoming John Wick spinoff movie Ballerina until June 4th, the day the film, or the day before the film releases into theaters on June 5th. However, it encourages enthusiasm for the movie beginning on May 22nd. Roll this up over at fandompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. And this message was shared to social media by film and TV critic Charles Bramesco. He writes at The Guardian and Vulture, and he says that he received this memo, this email from Lionsgate for the Ballerina film, and says we encourage spoiler-free enthusiasm across social starting May 22nd at 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. British Standard Time. So May 22nd, that was a week ago. They are encouraging spoiler-free enthusiasm for the Ballerina film, which is 2-3 weeks before the film comes out on June 5th, right? So I think that's about 2 weeks out. But then it says if you're planning to review the film, critical social sentiment and formal reviews are embargoed until Wednesday, June 4 at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. British Standard Time. So you cannot share critical social sentiment for the film until the day the film releases. But if you have enthusiasm for the film, you can do that 2 weeks out. Bramesco says, I got to hand it to Ballerina distributors Lionsgate. Most studios don't have the stones to come right out and say you're allowed to tweet about it, but only if it's positive. Commendable honesty. So I agree, at least they are indeed being honest about this, but I still feel like this is obviously extraordinarily deceptive, especially when this is only being sent to reviewers, and most reviewers probably aren't going to inform their readers that they were instructed by Lionsgate on this behalf. So if they actually had anything critical to say, they aren't really allowed to say it until the day before the movie releases. Pop Culture Crisis host Brett Desovich reacted to these instructions from Lionsgate, indicating that it breaks the trust moviegoers have not only with the studio, but the reviewers as well. He says, when you start putting out emails like this, people already don't trust these studios, and you're setting yourself up for failure. And they're at a disadvantage anyways, because people are automatically distrustful of the girl boss action movie these days, obviously referring to the fact that this is a female-led action film starring Ana de Armas, a spinoff of the John Wick franchise, right? So male lead going to a female lead, right? How often have we seen that completely and utterly fail? One can point to the Black Widow film. Didn't do as well as what Disney was hoping it would do. It was kind of the beginning of the trend of the MCU's downward decline at the box office. He went on and said, so they're setting themselves up for failure with the audience's future trust by putting out emails like this. So he's noting that even with these emails coming out, the future trust is being eroded as well. He's right. I think his opinion is pretty solid on point here, his analysis. And this trust has been eroded significantly over the last decade or so, with critic reviews, in many cases, being wildly different from audience scores. We see that on Rotten Tomatoes, you see that on IMDb, etc., Metacritic, where especially there are certain films that obviously the audiences don't like. You can point to like things like Star Wars, The Last Jedi, etc., where the critics were absolutely raving over it. And I think that has eroded a lot of trust between reviewers, the studios, and moviegoers. On top of that, critics have admitted they sell themselves and their audiences out in order to stay in good favor with studios. Sci-Fi Wire's Danny Roth admitted to making positive reviews for films and in order to maintain access with companies like Disney. This is what he said on Sci-Fi Wire's podcast, Who Won the Week? Let's take a listen.
Everybody in our industry occasionally has to play softball, occasionally has to look the other way a little bit. Everybody has to do it.
Wait, which one? What? Like a movie
in the sense that, I hated a movie, but I won't say that I hated the movie. Or an actor behaved a sort of way, and you don't want to, put it out there that happened.
Right, because you might not get the next review.
Right. So to some degree, everybody in our industry that is a part of this quote unquote access media has to sort of decide which battles they want to pick.
So there you go. That is what Roth had to say. He would also add which of the ones where my voice is the one that has to get said. Obviously, this was back in 2019. You can see they were talking about Captain Marvel This has been going on for quite some time. Obviously, been more recently exposed in the last half decade or so, given the fact that people have wisened up to a lot of this stuff and a lot of the tactics that these studios reviewers have been engaging in. What I find ironic is that emails like this are an attempt to attract as many people to the box office as possible in order to not only cover the costs for the film, but to hopefully make a profit. Obviously, right? They only want positive reviews, positive enthusiasm for the film leading up to the movie's release, and they only want the negative to show up a day of because they're trying to create a narrative that people actually do indeed like this film and convince people that they should go to see it because it is a good movie. However, it's likely that since the email has now been made public, it will have the opposite effect. Back at the end of April, the long-range projections for Ballerina from Sean Robbins over at Box Office Theory predicted the film would have an opening weekend domestic gross between $39 million and $48 million. His pinpoint projection was $45 million. He noted the film would gross between $94 million and $132 million, with a pinpoint projection of $113 million for the film's entire domestic box office run. Those projections have since declined. He most recently predicted it would only have an opening weekend between $33 million and $39 million, with a pinpoint projection of $36 million. I think this was before the scandal here had been made public. So I expect it to probably go down even further now that more and more people are finding out about this email from Lionsgate trying to suppress people giving negative opinions about the film. As for the film's domestic run, it also declined to a range between $79 million and $107 million, with a pinpoint of $91 million. So you can see significant decline there, $113 to $91 million, and then obviously $45 to $36.9 million decline there. The film reportedly has a budget between $80 to $90 million, which means it needs to gross at least $240 million to break even. If the movie has a similar domestic to international ratio as John Wick Chapter 4, it needs to gross at least $100 million domestically to break even. And looking at the recent projections from Sean Robbins, it just seemingly is not there. $9 million off the mark. If you look at his pinpoint there that he had of, $91 million. That is not $100 million. Not enough to do that. And again, I think these numbers are likely to go down as more and more people become aware of this scandal, of this suppression by Lionsgate to suppress any kind of negative word of mouth about this film. So I think this film is in a bad state. I think this spinoff never should have been greenlit in the first place. I think people are over seeing female leads in action movies. I think if they want to see an action movie, they're going to go see a Jason Statham movie. They're going to go see a Working Man. They're going to go see Beekeeper, etc. Those seem to be the films that people are interested in seeing. They are going to go see John Wick, as much as I think that franchise has completely jumped the shark, and I think it did so all the way back in the second film. The first film was obviously fantastic, and it's just gone kind of just absolutely bonkers ever since then, and I haven't even kept up with it, and I really like a lot of those action style movies. And I also even thought that the action sequences were just getting a little bit too redundant. I felt like I had seen Keanu Reeves do his little like tumble, roll, and shoot thing 100 times when I was watching. I think it was like the second film. It's like, I've seen this so many times. Can we do something different? It just felt like the same thing over and over again, even in the action sequences, regardless of what the story was about. But yeah, I think this email, at least you can, as Charles Bermesco here says, you can commend them for being honest. But obviously, they are still trying to deceive moviegoers. They're being honest in what they want reviewers to do, but obviously still attempting to deceive moviegoers on whether or not this film is actually decent or bad or not, and obviously don't want any kind of negative sentiment around the movie until the day before it releases. Obviously trying to get as much positive sentiment, trying to convince people that there is some kind of positive word of mouth for it, when that might not actually be the case, when they are clearly suppressing or attempting to suppress any kind of negative comments about the film. And I think this is obviously an indicator that even Lionsgate doesn't have faith in the film. I think Brett points out in his Pop Culture Crisis video there, discussion on this, that if you know your film is good, you have no issues allowing embargoes to expire 2-3 weeks before the film releases. However, when you know the film is absolutely terrible, you have embargoes that go up the day before, as we are seeing right here with Ballerina. Don't expect that trend to change anytime soon. And I think it's just kind of the state of Hollywood right now. These studios, I think, are indeed finally becoming desperate to recover the cost, as kind of the unlimited funds that they had seen over the past couple of decades are finally running out, and they actually have to start making things that are going to pay the bills, which I don't think they were doing in many cases. I think they were purely making propaganda films on purpose. Now, that's not to say the John Wick films are propaganda films or anything like that. I just think that is an overall trend that we have seen from Hollywood. Obviously, I think you can point to a lot of the Star Wars movies that have been released recently from the Disney, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, etc. A lot of propaganda films have indeed been made, especially movies that are trying to target kind of a general audience, etc. The big pop culture films. But I think this is bad news for Ballerina, film likely not to do well, and it was already on a downward trend, as Sean Robbins noted here in his projections. I expect it to probably go even lower. Again, as I said, as more people find out about this scandal here, where they're trying to dupe you into thinking that there is some kind of positive narrative around this film, when it is all completely and totally artificial. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.
Why would you be afraid of the people? Why are you not afraid of God instead of man?